guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie Summers, and my channel is called Wild Summers Academy. So today I am talking about, if you saw my last video, I was talking about autism and what high functioning autism is. So just to clarify, I wanted to go ahead and give a definition of that. So, high functioning autism, there's a spectrum of autism disorders. There is low functioning, there is Asperger's, there is non-functioning, there's a lot of them. Okay? My son is at the very top of the spectrum. After this, after where he's at, they consider it like ODD and ADHD and ADD and a whole list of other problems. But I wanted to go ahead and give you guys the rundown of what some of the difficulties are for homeschooling and what some of his personal difficulties are. So I'm going to try to read this without my glasses because they were causing a lot of glare in the last video. But I'm going to try to go ahead and go through this really quickly and not keep you guys. So, number one, becomes too overwhelmed very quickly or with, I really can't read with my glasses, guys, or with too much verbal direction. As you saw in the last video, this is pretty self-explanatory. My son becomes overwhelmed if there are too many people around him, if there is too much noise going on, if there's too little noise going on, too many different smells may set it off, and it will cause him to become aggravated and sometimes defensive, sometimes offensive. And along with that is the next one, calmed by external stimuli. So, as I said in the last video, he will sometimes twist the skin on his arm. That is something he has done since he was about 3 years old. And it's not something I have any control over. I have asked him to stop. I've put Band-Aids on his arms. I have put alcohol on his arms. I have I've had him wear long sleeves. It's not something I can control. It's just part of his emotional well-being. Drawn out emotional periods. Again, something that will affect us for only a few moments, he may have for 3 or 4 minutes. He does not have the appropriate level of emotions for his age. Not liking certain textures goes along with that. Like I said a minute ago, certain smells, certain textures, certain food textures, certain clothing textures, he doesn't like a particular side of our couch because it doesn't have the arm on the right side. There's all kinds of things that go into that. Let's see what else. In school-wise, okay, you've heard me say it before, my son went to kindergarten for 1 semester in public school. It wasn't even a full semester. We took him out the first week of November. So he went from August to November. And he had such a hard time. And that was when we first got the unconfirmed diagnosis that he had autism, because his counselor believed that he did. And I'll make another video about that and about how he became autistic and what happened when he was 3 years old. So I will at a different date make a video of that. He has a really hard time transitioning between subjects, between activities, things of that nature. A lot of kids have issues, but for Troy, if it's not done in the correct order, if it's not done in the correct routine, Typically in the morning we will have our devotion, and then we'll have breakfast, and then we'll have morning time, and then we'll have maths, and then we'll have science and health and history. So if it's not done in that exact order, he will become very upset. Fine motor skills. Okay, so this is a one that's interesting. Kids that have the type of autism that he has don't do well. Sorry if I'm saying a lot. I'm trying to think. So they don't do well with cutting and holding their pencil correctly and gluing and coloring. So now at 8 years old, 8.5, he is just learning how to hold the pencil. Well, he's not just learning, but he's finally holding his pencil correctly, gluing correctly, gluing stuff in the right place. He's just learning how to use scissors. So there is a delay in that, in the school things. Some of the school things. He has very high skills in some areas, and very low skills in other areas. His high skills are like his math and his science and his history, and his low skills are his comprehension skills, his read back, dictation skills. His spelling skills are not very good. He's at a first grade level with spelling. So there's lacking in that area. And then he was first diagnosed officially as ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder. I do not believe my child has this. And the reason why is because he's not defiant to me. He's not. I mean, he might be defiant to a stranger, but he's not to me. So one of the issues that he had in public school when he went to kindergarten was that he would not listen to the teacher unless the teacher called him by name. And that's something that is very important with children that have this type of mental issue. They do not know that you are talking to them unless you call them by name, unless you bring it to their attention. So yeah, they don't realize that you're addressing them. And then socially, my son has difficulty reading expressions. I explained this in the last video. He has limited affect. He doesn't see the facial expressions that you might have. He doesn't understand what smiling means. He doesn't understand what frowning means. He doesn't understand what sad is. And we do have some items that help him with that, help him differentiate that, but he's not doing to the level that he should be at 8 years old. He is doing about the level that a 3-year-old would do emotionally, and that is due to the limited affect and how he perceives other people. He doesn't really like to socialize with older kids. He doesn't like to socialize with kids his own age. He likes to have the socialization with kids at the same emotional level that he is. So he does best when he is socializing around 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So that he does great with them. But once they get to be more mature and more at his level, or at his age level, he has an issue with that. Doesn't communicate well with others, with the whole stuff that pertains to the situation. He may have random outbursts during the conversation. He doesn't really talk about other things that he's not interested in. So, like, you may be talking about his clothes or his cats. Now he's really interested in his cats. But his clothes, or something you did that day in school, or something he saw in Sunday school, and he'll have no idea what you're talking about. Or if he does have a small idea what you're talking about, he will have an outburst and start talking about something random, usually dinosaurs or his kittens. Those are his two special interests. Health-wise, he was not potty trained until he was almost 8. He has only been completely potty trained for about 6 months. And he is almost 8 and a half. He was literally almost 8. He still has incontinence sometimes, but he was in diapers until he was 7, and we started potty training when he was 2. He was potty trained when he was 2 and a half. He was vaccine injured when he was almost 3, and he had regression, and it was just, again, that's a whole nother video that can be devoted to that in itself, but he is finally potty trained. Completely. He is finally trained completely to where he will dress himself from the underwear all the way up to putting on his shoes. Another issue with Troy is he cannot tie his shoes. He cannot use scissors. He has some issues with things like that. With the fine motor skills. He has a lot of issues with that. Another thing that he has is he has lack of concern for danger. He does not understand that something may be dangerous. And it is something I have to be so aware that he is, especially if we're out in public, of where he is and what he's doing, because he has no fear. He has no awareness of the reality of danger. He has jumped off of items thinking it would be fine. He has, like, we were walking one day and he decided that he would climb up on a banister and jump down. And there was about 6 feet. We were lucky that he was fine, but it is not the first time that has happened, so I have to be very aware of where he is at any situation. Yeah. Another thing we found out is he is gluten and dairy intolerant. He has a lot of issues with food allergies. And he's also had regression of speech, and he pronounces pronouns funny, and he uses them incorrectly. So that's another thing related to schooling. Also, he doesn't play with other children. He has parallel play, and he typically does repetitive play. So he does that. He flaps and hums and taps and rocks constantly. He is in constant movement. So, yes. And I'm going to wrap this up here because I'm running out of time. So please have a blessed day. Please subscribe. Let me know what kind of symptoms your child has, if your child has autism. So again, have a blessed day. Bye.